The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the city in hues of amber and crimson. Its light danced off the towering skyscrapers and narrow alleyways, where life thrummed with relentless energy. Amid the lively chaos, Neymar Jr. the crowd murmured with anticipation, drawn not just by his fame but by the sincerity in his eyes. Beside him stood Carlos, a man whose weathered face told a story of triumph and loss. Once a hero of Brazilian football, Carlos now bore the weight of a life unraveled. The spark that had once electrified stadiums seemed dimmed, yet faint embers of resilience lingered. Neymar's voice, steady yet tinged with emotion, broke the silence. "Carlos is not just a name, not just a memory," he began, his words weaving through the crowd. "He is a symbol of what it means to rise, fall, and rise again. And today, we stand together to remind him, and ourselves, that no one walks alone." The gathering wasn't merely an event, it was a call to action. Former players exchanged glances, their resolve ignited by Neymar's conviction. The city's pulse seemed to slow as strangers united, their shared humanity bridging divides. Above, the first stars emerged, their faint light a reminder of hope's quiet persistence. For Carlos, this moment wasn't just a lifeline, it was the beginning of a story he hadn't dared to imagine. And for Neymar, it was proof that even amidst the noise of fame, the quiet power of compassion could echo far louder. The city was alive with energy, its streets a maze of honking cars, street vendors, and laughter echoing from open windows. The golden hues of the setting sun reflected off the glass skyscrapers, blending the modern and the timeless. Neymar Jr.'s charisma was undeniable, his every movement exuding both confidence and humility. Despite his fame, Neymar's heart remained tethered to his roots, driven by a desire to uplift others. Carlos, once a celebrated midfielder for Brazil, had fallen into obscurity after retiring. Injuries and poor financial decisions had left him struggling to survive. Though his glory days were long gone, his spirit carried traces of the passion that once defined him. Neymar had admired Carlos as a child, his posters plastered across Neymar's bedroom walls. Now, seeing his hero in such dire straits, Neymar felt a responsibility to act. The other players in the group, each with their own stories of triumph and hardship, shared a bond forged through the sport. They respected Neymar's leadership and compassion, which inspired them to rally behind his mission. The dynamic between them was unspoken yet powerful, a collective understanding that football was more than a game, it was a lifeline. The city's vibrant chaos contrasted with the intimate moment shared by the group. Neymar's words to Carlos were simple yet profound, igniting a spark of hope. The gesture was more than charity, it was a reminder of the brotherhood that transcended fame and fortune. Together, they began crafting a plan to help Carlos rebuild his life, proving that even in a world of fleeting glory, humanity endured. As Neymar and the former players rallied around Carlos, a shadowy figure emerged from the crowd, an ex-agent tied to a scandal that had derailed Carlos's career. The man revealed a shocking secret: Carlos had been blacklisted due to his refusal to fix a high-stakes match years ago. The revelation sent shockwaves through the group, igniting a tense conflict as Neymar vowed to expose the truth. The sun dipped below the skyline, painting the city in hues of amber and crimson. Neymar Jr.'s goal was clear: to establish a foundation that would support struggling former athletes like Carlos, a once brilliant player whose life had unraveled after retirement. Neymar's determination was fueled by memories of teammates who had faced similar fates, their glory days overshadowed by financial and emotional hardships. As Neymar shared his vision, the group's initial excitement gave way to skepticism. How will we fund this? What if people think we're just doing this for publicity? These doubts hung heavy, but Neymar remained steadfast, urging them to focus on their shared purpose. He proposed starting with a charity match, an event that could both raise funds and inspire others to join their cause. Carlos, hesitant at first, struggled to accept their help. Pride and shame clashed within him, creating a barrier that Neymar worked tirelessly to break. Through late-night conversations and shared memories of the sport they loved, Neymar and Carlos began to forge a bond. Their growing friendship became the foundation of the initiative, a testament to the power of empathy and understanding. Meanwhile, subplots emerged among the group. One former player, Lucas, wrestled with his own insecurities, questioning whether he deserved to be part of the effort after his controversial exit from the sport. Another, Mariana, a retired women's footballer, advocated for expanding the foundation's reach to include female athletes, sparking debates within the group. These dynamics added layers of complexity, but also strengthened their collective resolve. As plans for the charity match took shape, the obstacles persisted, sponsors were hesitant, and media scrutiny loomed. Yet, the group's unity deepened, their shared struggles and victories weaving them into a family. For Neymar, this was no longer just about Carlos, it was about creating a legacy of hope for all who had given their lives to the game. The crowd's applause was interrupted by the sudden arrival of a disheveled man clutching an envelope. His face was pale, his hands trembling as he called out Neymar's name. The gathering turned silent, their gazes fixed on the man. Neymar stepped forward, concern etched on his face. "What's wrong?" The man handed him the envelope, whispering, "It's Carlos. He's missing." The news struck like lightning. Carlos, who had been quietly rebuilding his life, had vanished without a trace. Neymar's mind raced. This wasn't just about helping a friend anymore, something darker was at play. The envelope contained a cryptic note, "The past always catches up." Determined to uncover the truth, Neymar rallied the group of former players. They discovered that Carlos had been entangled in a web of old debts and shady figures from his earlier struggles. The urgency grew as they realized Carlos's life could be in danger. As they delved deeper, Neymar faced an internal conflict. His fame could either expose Carlos's plight or make things worse. Despite the risks, he decided to act, knowing time was running out. The once celebratory evening turned into a race against the clock, altering their lives forever. The golden hues of the sunset faded into twilight as Neymar Jr. beside him, a young woman named Sophia, a journalist passionate about social justice, approached. "Neymar, what you did for Carlos was inspiring," she said, her voice steady yet filled with curiosity. "But what about others like him? There are so many former players who've been forgotten." Her words struck a chord. Neymar turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "You're right. This is bigger than Carlos. We need to create something lasting." Meanwhile, among the crowd, a shadowy figure observed from a distance. It was Eduardo, a former agent who had once exploited players for financial gain. Eduardo's lips curled into a smirk. "If Neymar wants to play the hero, let's see how far he'll go," he muttered, already plotting how to use the situation to his advantage. As Neymar and Sophia brainstormed, an idea began to take shape. They envisioned a foundation to support retired athletes struggling with life after football. Sophia, with her network of contacts and media influence, offered to help spread the word. Neymar, fueled by determination, vowed to gather resources and allies. The next day, Neymar reached out to his old teammate, Lucas, now a successful businessman. Lucas listened intently, nodding. "I'll help, but you'll face resistance. Not everyone wants to see the system change." Unbeknownst to them, Eduardo had begun spreading rumors, sowing doubt among potential supporters. Neymar's resolve, however, only grew stronger. For him, this was no longer just about Carlos, it was about justice and creating a legacy of compassion. The gathering had barely dispersed when Neymar received a call that deepened the stakes. It was from an old teammate, Lucas, who revealed troubling news. An unscrupulous sports agent had been exploiting retired players, including Carlos, by coercing them into predatory financial schemes. Neymar's jaw tightened. The issue was bigger than one man, it was systemic. Meanwhile, Carlos, unaware of the brewing storm, confided in Neymar about a secret. He had a teenage son, Gabriel, with raw football talent, but no means to pursue his dream. Neymar saw the boy's potential as a chance to break the cycle, but helping Gabriel would mean exposing Carlos's struggles publicly, something Carlos feared. As Neymar rallied support from his network, tensions flared among the former players. Some hesitated, wary of confronting the powerful agent, while others urged immediate action. Lucas, burdened by his own financial troubles, wrestled with whether to join Neymar or protect himself. Simultaneously, Gabriel's plight sparked a subplot. Neymar's efforts to enroll him in a prestigious academy clashed with Gabriel's reluctance, born of guilt over his father's sacrifices. Gabriel's resistance frustrated Neymar, who saw the boy's potential slipping away. The stakes escalated when Neymar confronted the agent directly. The man, smug and unyielding, issued a veiled threat: "You may have fame, but I have power." Neymar realized the fight would not only test his resolve but also risk the unity of his group. As the sun set on another day, Neymar stood at a crossroads. The battle for justice, the weight of Carlos's dignity, and Gabriel's future intertwined, creating a storm of dilemmas that could either shatter or strengthen the bonds of solidarity. The crowd grew silent as Neymar Jr. The golden hues of the setting sun reflected in his eyes, but his focus was unwavering. This was more than a moment of charity, it was a call to action. Neymar announced a bold initiative, a foundation aimed at supporting former athletes like Carlos, offering financial aid, career guidance, and emotional support. His words carried weight, igniting a spark in everyone present. Carlos, overwhelmed by the gesture, hesitated before speaking. "I never thought I'd see this day," he admitted, his voice trembling. "To be remembered, to matter again, it's more than I could have dreamed." His vulnerability struck a chord with the group. Among the former players, a quiet yet influential figure, Adriana, stepped forward. Once a trailblazer in women's football, she had faced her own struggles post-retirement. Inspired by Neymar's initiative, she volunteered to co-lead the foundation, her passion reigniting with purpose. Her involvement marked a turning point, as the mission expanded to include athletes from all walks of life. As plans took shape, Neymar faced resistance from corporate sponsors hesitant to back such a venture. Yet, his resolve only deepened. He rallied the players to host a charity match, showcasing their enduring talent and unity. The event became a symbol of resilience, drawing massive attention and securing the funding they desperately needed. Carlos, once weighed down by despair, now stood taller. With renewed confidence, he shared his story publicly, becoming a voice for countless others who had suffered in silence. His transformation was profound, no longer defined by his struggles but by his newfound strength. The foundation's success was undeniable, yet Neymar knew this was only the beginning. The stage was set for a greater challenge, one that would test their unity and resolve in ways they couldn't yet foresee. The golden light faded, leaving the city cloaked in twilight as Neymar Jr. Carlos, his mind restless. Around them, the group of former players exchanged quiet conversations, their faces marked by a shared determination. Neymar's words had ignited something deeper, a collective sense of purpose. Yet, beneath the camaraderie, subtle tensions simmered. One player, Marcos, whose career had been overshadowed by Carlos's glory years, watched from the edge of the gathering, his expression unreadable. As the group dispersed, Neymar pulled aside his closest confidant, Lucas, a retired midfielder known for his sharp instincts. "I don't trust Marcos," Lucas murmured, his voice low. "He's not here for Carlos. He's here for himself." Neymar frowned but said nothing, his focus shifting to the immediate task of rallying support for Carlos's recovery. The next day, Neymar arranged a meeting with influential figures from the football world, hoping to secure resources for Carlos. Among those present was Ama, a former sports journalist turned advocate for retired athletes. Her fiery passion for justice matched Neymar's resolve. "This isn't just about Carlos," she said firmly. "It's about changing the system that leaves players behind." Meanwhile, Marcos approached Carlos in private, his tone deceptively friendly. "I've got connections," he said, offering a deal that seemed too good to be true. Carlos hesitated, torn between gratitude and unease. The seeds of doubt were sown, foreshadowing a potential betrayal that could fracture the fragile unity Neymar had built. As Neymar and his allies worked tirelessly, small victories began to emerge. A fundraiser organized by Lucas and Ana gained traction, drawing attention to Carlos's plight. Yet, the shadow of Marcos's intentions loomed, a reminder that not all alliances were born of goodwill. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test their resolve and reveal the true strength of their solidarity. The city buzzed with life as Neymar Jr. The initiative to help Carlos had grown, but so had the challenges. The funds they had raised were dwindling, and doubts began to creep into the minds of the group. Neymar, usually composed, felt the weight of responsibility pressing harder than ever. Carlos, though grateful, struggled to accept the support fully. His pride, bruised by years of hardship, became a barrier. "I'm not a charity case," he muttered one evening, his voice trembling. Neymar saw the pain behind those words, understanding that this was about more than money, it was about restoring dignity. Meanwhile, tensions rose among the former players. Some questioned whether their efforts were sustainable, while others argued over priorities. The fractures within the group threatened to derail everything they had built. Neymar found himself at a crossroads, needing to unite them before it was too late. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Neymar gathered everyone for a heartfelt conversation. "This is bigger than any of us," he said, his voice steady yet impassioned. "We're not just helping Carlos, we're showing the world what solidarity can achieve." Slowly, the group began to see the bigger picture, their resolve strengthening. The final obstacle came in the form of a looming deadline. A critical grant that could secure Carlos's future required unanimous approval from a skeptical committee. Neymar and the others worked tirelessly, preparing a heartfelt presentation. The night before the decision, Carlos, moved by their dedication, finally opened up. "You've given me something I thought I'd lost, hope," he said, his voice breaking. As the pieces fell into place, the group stood united, ready to face the climax of their journey. The crowd erupted into applause as Neymar Jr. Carlos. The initiative would provide financial aid, career guidance, and mental health resources, ensuring no player would face hardship alone. "Together, we can rewrite the future," Neymar urged, his voice resolute. "Let's stand united for those who gave everything to the sport we cherish." Carlos, overwhelmed, stepped forward, his voice trembling with emotion. "This is more than generosity, it's a lifeline," he said, his gratitude palpable. the former teammates embraced, a symbol of redemption and solidarity. The project became a beacon of hope, inspiring players worldwide to contribute. Neymar's leadership sparked a movement, bridging gaps between past and present generations of athletes. Carlos, now thriving, began mentoring young players, ensuring they learned from his struggles. His transformation stood as proof that compassion could rebuild lives. As the foundation grew, its impact rippled across communities, fostering a culture of empathy and support. Neymar's call to action resonated deeply. Let's not wait for others to act. Be the change today. The golden glow of the setting sun mirrored the brighter futures being forged. The city lights shimmered as Neymar Jr. Carlos, now a man transformed by the compassion shown to him. The bond forged that evening had grown into a movement, one that extended beyond football. Neymar, reflecting on his journey, realized that true success lay not in accolades but in lifting others. "Let us never forget," he said to the crowd, "that we have a responsibility to use our blessings to uplift those around us." Carlos, inspired by Neymar's kindness, dedicated his life to mentoring young players, teaching them resilience and humility. His story became a beacon of hope, proving that second chances could lead to profound impact. As Neymar and his peers parted ways that night, they carried a renewed purpose. Their actions had sparked a legacy of solidarity, reminding everyone that small acts of kindness could ripple into lasting change. Let this inspire us all to look around, take action, and be the difference someone needs. The sun rose the next day, its light illuminating a world slightly better than before. Carlos smiled, knowing his darkest days had led to a brighter future, not just for himself, but for countless others.